Township of North Huntington Board of Commissioners special meeting for Thursday, January 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Roll call. Manager Turley.
Commissioner Stump?
Here.
Commissioner Atwood?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Zona?
Here.
Commissioner Wengren?
Here.
Commissioner Goss?
Here.
Commissioner Haggis?
Here, could everyone please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If any residents would like to speak tonight, could you please sign the book at the podium? All right, let the record reflect no residents' input tonight. Work session discussion topics. Manager Turley.
The first item is a discussion item concerning the HVAC warranty. As you know, substantial HVAC work is being done at the townhouse, and a question arose in December from Commissioner Atwood, I believe, relating to extended warranties. I did send a memo a few weeks back to you. Essentially, they had two options that they could recommend. One is a 5-year parts warranty, including compressor and circuit board, for $3,250, and the other is a 5-year compressor-only warranty for $2,200. And the stipulation is this has to be in place before it leaves the factory, which is scheduled here fairly soon. Essentially, they've told, the discussions I had a few weeks back is that they don't really get this request very often, and I just sort of shared that with you, but I wondered if occasionally this wouldn't have been written into the specifications. So they don't normally see this, but I guess my view or my thought is that these are often a personal preference, whether you like extended warranties or not. I certainly would acknowledge that it could come in handy, but it looks like this isn't something that's normally done, or most of the time it's not done. And with that, I just open it up for your discussion.
What is the normal warranty?
The warranty we have is 1 year parts, 1 year parts and labor. From what they call substantial completion.
I'm not a fan of extended warranties.
Just to refresh at least my memory, when did we start having issues with the previous HVAC unit? I know there was a settlement and everything. How long did it take for that to happen?
There were problems the day it was put in, I would say, because it was not sized properly. It wasn't the right system for this type of building. So there's a whole extended time frame on engineering and analyzing and disputing what those problems were. But we also, now that that was put in around 2004, I think, 2004. So you get around 15, 16 years, and in this case, we're having operational problems with it. I mean, it's being held together with Band-Aids. Essentially, we didn't function in the summer. We didn't have air conditioning late summer, and but it's never worked right. The humidity's a problem. There was a whole host of issues, but now there's operational reliability. It has to be replaced. And that's what led to the work that's currently being done now. But the answer to your question is that there were always issues of some sort, and that's what led to the settlement of a few years ago. But that's sort of a side issue to what is now it's broken, essentially.
So
We didn't have operational issues for years that would be covered by warranty. Like you said, it was designed wrong and it performed wrong from day one, but that's not under warranty. That's why the lawsuit, the settlement.
So you're saying that it was engineered incorrectly to begin with?
Yes. There were multiple problems with the concept and the design.
Mike, could you restate under the 5-year, $3,000 extended warranty? What does that cover again, please?
The one option is 5 years parts, 5-year parts warranty, including the compressor and the circuit board or the motor that runs it. So there's some elements there and components that could go bad. The other option is the compressor only, and it's $2,200. So essentially another $1,000 gets you a warranty for the circuit board and the motor.
All right, so did anybody price the cost of a compressor? Did anybody price the cost of a circuit board? Because that might, the reason why I ask that might legitimize the extended warranty, the 5-year, $3,000.
I haven't looked at the unit costs in quite a long time, but
All right.
I think that's it is in our cost estimates that we have. So that figure could, I think we could get you that figure.
But
I don't know what it is, though. I can't recall.
But you said this, if we sign off on a warranty extended, it has to be in place before the manufacturer.
Yes,
builds
before
or
it leaves
delivers?
before it leaves the factory.
Before it leaves
And
the
that's
factory.
slated for later this month. So we would need to,
Make a
if we want to do
decision.
this, we would need, well, if we decide you want to do this, we would probably need to do a resolution to modify, it'd be a change order, but it's initiated by us, a change order. So it would up the price of what you approved by $3,250. It'd be a change order, so we'd probably bring a resolution back to you next week if you wanted it. If we wait longer than that, then I don't think we could do it unless we were authorized to do it aside from an formal action here.
And understanding the total bill encompasses more than just parts, circuit board, and the compressor. I guess there's new lines being put in. That being said, I might say that I think I'm actually comfortable with a 5-year extended warranty for the $3,000 based on parts, circuit board, and compressor, just as a blanket of security.
Sometimes, though, the labor is higher than the cost, the
Oh, yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
And when I quickly Google this, it says that a compressor can be remanufactured for about $1,800, and higher-end compressor units can range as high as $18,000. So it sounds to me like if there was a problem with that compressor, it could be rebuilt. But I'm no HVAC person either, so.
Board have any interest on getting an extended warranty agreement of any type?
Just to remind everybody, we're shelling out a lot of money, a lot. I am in favor of a 5-year warranty for $3,000. That's how I feel.
I think I would be opposed to that, because I think it's sort of understood that even though there's a 1-year warranty, common sense would tell you it's probably going to last for at least 5, and you pay for that warranty. And, you know, I think if anything, like Mike said, if anything goes wrong with it, it's probably because it's not engineered correctly, or there was some faulty installation.
And that warrants another lawsuit, if that happens.
Well, if there's faulty installation, you're usually going to catch that pretty quickly, I think, so.
I would agree. I'm opposed to it too. Just, I would like to look it up and see what the percentage of, these types of systems go bad. I'll bet you it's very low. And granted, ours was wrong from the day it was installed, so that's a whole different issue. But yeah, I'm opposed to that.
All right. I think you might have a consensus just to move
Okay.
forward.
We don't
as
have to-
we currently are.
we don't need to do
No
anything
action.
then. Okay, all right. Okay, the second item is there's a draft, for discussion, there's a draft resolution concerning the Attorney General's opiate settlement agreement. Some information was sent late last year as this appeared before us somewhat suddenly. And there was some time limitations and so forth, but I put it on for discussion and expect to put it on for action next week for a resolution to, if I read the headlines, maybe it'll explain a little bit. It's authorizing the township to enter into a settlement agreement with various pharmaceutical companies and agree to the terms of the Pennsylvania Opiate Misuse and Addiction Abatement Trust. So essentially, some of these details aren't fully developed, but some money will be coming back to the county and municipalities for drug intervention programs.
Any question or discussion?
Okay, the third item today is we have waste management. Jim Queen and Al Pasquarelli, some folks that we've worked with for a number of years here, and they're very familiar with North Huntington, and we're familiar with them. And as everybody knows very well, we began the new contract with them on December 1st, and we've, for various reasons that we've discussed, transitioned to an automated system. And the role, obviously, there's a few issues and so forth as we rolled it out. And it was, it seemed a good idea to have them come in and give us sort of an update on the scale and scope of what's been before them over the last really month or so, from the deliveries to getting all the accounts right and all of the problems, and they can give a little update on where we're at, where we're having issues, and how we think the rollout's going and what we'll be doing over the next few weeks and few months.
Thanks. Come up.
Do you want
come up to the
to, do you
podium?
want to come up?
Thank you, appreciate it.
There's a little push button there. The green light will come on, Jim.
Like that?
Is the green light on?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm the district manager here locally out of the Legger Road location, so we're here in your township. So communicated with a few of you throughout, some of the transition items and issues. We started, as everybody probably knows, started delivering toters. Since the contract was awarded early September, I think we've been working at a very fast pace. In a matter of 2 months, we acquired 30,000 carts. We started December 6th. We distributed 26,000 carts in a 3.5-week period of time to your township residents. Just a couple things, and Mike, you know this real well. We were working off of a list from county hauling of residents that, as everybody would guess, was not near 100% accurate. There were at least 400 homes that were not even listed that we actually left carts with. The standard service 96 gallon trash and a 64-gallon recycle. The directive was just to leave that cart, then people, we're going to add them to the list, get them into our system, and then if somebody calls, that we can make adjustments with size, we can update their bio information or any other reason. So we put in another 800 carts that we did not anticipate. There are also duplicates on streets. There were streets that weren't listed. Some of the newer plans, you guys are growing at a crazy pace out here. We kind of knew that was going to be the case, that county would have missed several of the new streets. So we over-ordered. The number is about $2 million worth of carts we purchased for it. So we purchased about an extra 4,000 carts to increase, the people that are on the limited service. I myself anticipated X amount of people wanting a second cart and a third cart. So that was just an educated guess from a lifetime of being in the trash business, and I think you know that, Mr. Dice. So with that, you know, we had there's some black and white information in the contract regarding when we were going to allow people to change to a different size cart. We went over and above that, and we communicated and said, you know what, we're going to give people, and it ended up being 3 weeks to call and change their service after we even delivered the cart already. So now we're going back to residents to make a change after we've delivered the cart. There were at least 400 of those residents to the tune of around 1,000 carts that we made adjustments on. Ironically, about 25% of those, when they got the cart, before they even started using it, they're like, wait, this is too big, or this is too small. They made a change. We go back out to change the cart, and they said, you know what, I like this bigger size. I think I'm going to keep it. So now we're there to the house at a third time. So, you know, these are just some of the things that we're running into. But believe me, we've done extra mailers. We've done extra opportunities for people to change out the carts, all because we know this is a big change. You know, Al and I, you know, coming into this with the cart service, knowing the volumes that the people are used to putting out, we're accommodating that. And it's costing us a lot of money to do that, but we're willing to do that to get the contract off the ground right. So right now, we did a count today. We are down to 200 residents that wanted to make a change. These are all people that were given mailers that didn't say anything and were delivered a cart. Now they wanted to make a change. So 200 carts, about 200 residents, about 300 carts. So we kind of measure it in how many residents and how many carts. They could be seniors that got a 64 for trash and said, you know what, I want to go to the $5 bag service. So now we have to go out and pull out that cart. So where we are today is that's where we're at. Today's the 11th or 12th. We anticipate being done with those by the end of next week. So we're done with the carts. We decided that for people that want an extra 96 for trash because of volumes, we're going to keep doing that. We're just going to keep, because if they're paying for it, we're not going to charge for the delivery, but there's an added cost to it, plus they'll be able to accommodate the extra trash as they get used to how much that can will hold. So we're going to continue to take those calls and deliver those carts throughout the township. How the staffing, I mean, monumental task we had of hiring 20 drivers. Right? People hear that anybody owns a business, try hiring 20 people for any type of job in a two-month span of time. We did that. We looked at driving schools. We pulled in some people from other departments. We have a pretty large location, so wintertime's a good time. They're slower on construction jobs, so we've cross-trained people. We've been able to put a mixture of newer drivers and people that actually used to service the township back in the township, so they're kind of helping the newer people. So there's still some little pockets and alleys and private drives that the guys are getting used to, that there's one or two houses up that street that you can't even tell is a roadway. But we're working through that, and I was just telling Mike earlier, the biggest thing was we're starting from scratch the way we run the routes. It's the same routes, the same days of pickup the county had, but our guys might start on a street that used to get picked up at 5 p.m. and we're there at 6:15 a.m. Half the street's not out because the people weren't used to they'd go to work and put it out. So we estimated at the beginning of last week, and we're only a week and a half into it. We were getting about 40 calls a day for people that said, you missed us, which we really didn't. We may have missed 5. The rest of them weren't out. And that's through the education, and I think you put a notice out there, must be out by 6 a.m. It was in every publication we sent, but people just still seem to think they can beat the truck to the curb. Today, there were 5. So we've gone from 40 to 5 in 10 business days. Even that, 9 business days. So, the missed pickups are all coming down. We're calling them misses, but, my route manager that covers approximately 6 municipalities, he's only been here, and he's been logging 15-hour days, driving the streets as the trucks go out, and he's the one, he sees people pulling stuff to the curb at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's the one that sees the ticket come through that you guys missed me. So now he's just kind of making a professional call to the resident. Okay, we're going to come get it this time, but it wasn't out. So please make sure it's out by 6. So as the residents see what time the trucks are there, for the most part, the routes are pretty good in the order that they're running it. There may be some small changes to that, but so the routing's going well. We got enough trucks. We're renting trucks right now. With the supply chain issues, we ordered $5 million worth of trucks. They're a year out to get the trucks. So you're going to see white trucks for a while. We may redeploy some from different hauling companies that were budgeted to get trucks in 2022. We may bring in a couple of those and get rid of the white ones. And then when ours come, they would get ours. But, just kind of shifting as a company nationwide, we may shift some assets to get waste management trucks in. The residents won't see a difference. You'll just see different color on the side of the vehicle. Call center. Sometimes I don't control the call center. I think we're kind of getting we're getting centralized with everything we do at our company, like most companies. So a lot of times the call centers that are taking calls right now, we put everything out there as far as the specifics of the contract. And we had a failure with 2 bits of information. I think one was the overage, and there was another item that what we have is it's something called Green Pages. So it's a database that across the country, when a customer service person answers the phone, they go into Green Pages, and there's a profile or template for every contract that Waste Management has. You give them an address, okay, this is the price, this is the situation for what it would cost for a toter. There were 2 items that were incorrect. And what happened was, it was from the last contract, they just typed over. It's easier to type over, a lot of the contact information was the same, billing cycle, et cetera. But some of the overage items were incorrect. And some of the residents got bad information on that. I know there was an instance today with somebody saying that the municipality bills the residents. We have to go back to the customer service representative and figure out who that is to address those individually, because that's not what your profile says. So we're addressing those one at a time as they come in. So let's see, what else? I personally have trying to, the ones that get to Mike, that get to me, personally trying to reach out to the residents. A lot of times knowing somebody local is helping them get their cart removed. My bag's behind the bush. We have a couple situations with handicap that we've accommodated. that, you know, if you would see some of the houses where those handicap situations are, you might question whether they should be getting the rear door service. But right now, my route manager has a list each day of what are the handicap stops that the drivers have to go away from the curb to get the can or the bag. So there was, I think, 2 or 3 of those that were not picked up because it's the note said it was on this street, but the house puts it on, it was Whitmore, but the lady lives on the corner and her trash is on the other street. So when they didn't see it out, they just assumed it wasn't out. It wasn't, it's off the other street. So that's going to be familiarity with the drivers. As weeks go by, they'll learn the residents, where it's at, how to get up the streets, you know, and who truly doesn't have trash and who doesn't have it out. Right now, we have computer tablets in our trucks that list out the customers. As we get that cleaned up, when I say cleaned up, sometimes there's streets that are a border street that might be on one route, but it should be on the other. We're cleaning those up right now. There was a lot of work put into making it right the first time, but there are always tweaks. We have the ability now with our tablets, once the drivers get accustomed to the routes and actually making sure they can get everything picked up, which we have every day, they're going to actually have the ability to take a picture. If I'm a 96-gallon cart person and I put 3 couches on the 4th week of the month, they can take a picture of that and it'll be implanted in that customer database. So if they call and say, hey, you didn't take my couch, well, hold on, where do you live? They'll be able, the customer service rep will be able to go in and say, well, it's 4th week of the month, you're allowed 1 item, and it's 2nd week, on the 2nd week, so that's why they didn't take it. So we have some technology now that we're going to be able to answer a lot of questions before it gets to you all and us a second time. So the drivers, as I said, we hired a bunch of new drivers, so not only that you get used to 1, driving a truck, 2, picking up the trash or recycling, now the technology associated with what they have to do every day, that's going to take some time to get that all 100%. But as we move along, it'll get smoother each week. So the long and short of it, that's where we are on day number 9.
Thank you. Does any of the board have any questions for him?
Yeah, I would just for myself, I'd like to thank both of you gentlemen. I can't even imagine the monumental task that was to start that up as you had tried to explain there. I'm sure it was a lot worse than you're even explaining, but I think from what I've seen and what I've heard, I think the transition went fairly well. And I think the vast majority of the citizens here have been served properly. So I want to thank you gentlemen and all your employees, from the office workers down to the truck drivers, if you can offer my thanks to them. Any issues that came to me that I asked them to call you, when I followed up, they said they were taken care of by your customer service, so
Very good.
I thank you. And Mike, also thank you for all your hard work and the township employees that did it, that helped you with that. Again, for this monumental task, and as you said, we're 10 days into this, I think it went fairly well. And I saw them coming through and picking my garbage up through my neighborhood, and they did a great job from what I can see. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I will get that back to the, to my staff. I mean, they're putting in long hours trying to make sure everything's right. And I will say, to your point, we have 1 driver that's working, that came in from another location to help. He's a veteran guy. He's helping train. He's running one of the routes. He actually used to run a route. He said that North Huntington residents, I believe it was Mount Lebanon or Upper St. Clair, that they went to a cart service, and it took them months to get the residents to put out the cart that was supplied to them. They were piling out their own cans. He says he can't believe in 2 weeks how well the the township residents are participating and saying how very few, of their home cans are out there at the street and not utilizing what we gave to them, basically. So they're all doing a nice job, and that's credit to you all in your communications, for getting everything out to the township through social media and everything else. But residents are doing a nice job as well. Now, granted, you're going to hear, you have 13,000 homes. There's always going to be some people, but for the most part, everybody's doing a nice job.
I would just add, talking to people in the industry and who went automated, it's relative in terms of it could be a lot worse. We have some issues, we have some bumps. It's relatively early. We were anticipating at least a quarter or so to smooth out all the issues. Some of the problems we had were ones we don't want to have. But in relative terms, I would say we were expecting more issues. I'm not saying we don't have them. People are unhappy, they have to get used to it and so on and so forth. But I think you alluded to some other communities that are surely having a lot more problems than we are. Now, we did have a fairly big front-end educational part of it, not too, but enough, and we're continuing that. But we have had issues, and we have unhappy people, everything from price to whatnot. But as we've talked about, we expect it's not the sort of thing that you can roll out without issues, missing streets, and this just takes some time. But I don't get to see it all. What really goes on behind the scenes. So, but I see and hear enough to know that this is a huge effort. Just the cart distribution to get it relatively right in 3 weeks is a huge, expensive task. So we were in the situation in August that we were really going to push to try to do the award in August, because we didn't realize it till we sat down and met with them. But there's months involved to get this order, to order these many carts. So we couldn't do the award till September, but we knew that we were going to be up against it. So the date that they hustled to get to December 6th. So that allowed 3 weeks. So we knew we were going to be up against it. We had a backup plan. We may be doing some hand collection in some areas for a while, but we didn't want to do that. So the most important thing was to get the carts out, even if there's a lot of corrections and things to do, get them by the end of the year. That would help a lot. And you did that in 3 weeks, and I think that was a huge expense and a huge effort. So I just wanted to share that. Like I said, I don't see all that goes on, but I see a little bit and been around. I hear other communities, and I think we're in a reasonably good place, but we still have a good bit of work to do to get it complete.
Thanks.
Real quick, I just want to finally put a face to an email. I just want to thank you for all the help. Anytime I've reached out with a resident issue, it's been taken care of. I only think 2 of them are still outstanding, but I think that was today or yesterday that they came in.
To be honest, the resident, when they hit reply after I send it, they're not copying you. So I almost feel like I want to send you the resolution so you know that it was full circle completed.
It's fine. As long as they're taken care of, I'm happy. And I do want to thank you for making the arrangements for our disabled residents. I know that was important to me, they got taken care of as well.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Is it the same truck that picks up the trash and recyclables?
So, no.
Okay.
There is one truck in the township. So they're not labeled trash or recycle, but they look identical. So sometimes people think if it's a rear load style truck, if they see that with the recyclables, and this happens in every town, they think that because it looks like the standard trash truck, we're putting recyclables in the trash. It's totally separate. It's running purely recycling. The small truck we have, it's a custom-sized truck for your private lanes. He is the only truck that he goes through and does trash, goes to the landfill and dumps. Then he comes back and he goes through those same exact streets, picks up recycling, and then we take it to our recycling transfer station and dump. So That gentleman actually drove every one of those streets to learn it as a new employee in a pickup truck. And he was already telling a lot of the residents, hey, if you see me twice or in the same truck, I'm not taking your recycling as trash. I just have to come here twice because I have the only truck that fits on these roads. You know, we don't have two of those style trucks.
That's
So,
good to know.
so to answer your question, it's the same looking truck, but one is purely taking recycling and one is purely taking trash.
And are you taking all plastics
Yes. Well,
and glass?
one through three,
Okay, only 1 through 3.
one through three or 1 through 5. No plastic bags.
Right,
Basically, any beverage or food container and no plastic bags.
okay. And glass is okay now?
Glass is okay.
Okay.
We had some discussion and knowing, glass has gone back and forth with the markets, and I'll tell you, it was a year ago, nobody could get rid of it. It
Right.
was going in the trash. I mean, people were recycling it, would take it to the recycle center, that's put it aside, put it back in a truck and haul it back to the landfill. Because there was no source. That market's changed, and that's gonna be eternal. Knowing that people went to a limited trash service, unlike never before, where they could put out as much as they wanted, we went and kind of took a risk and said, we're going to take the glass through this contract so that people can divert from the trash to the recycle to accommodate the volumes so they can fit in their carts, basically. So we can take any color glass.
Okay, one last question. If the carts are not 3 feet apart, if they're right up next to each other, how are the arms
So-
operating?
So
Does the driver have to get out?
The driver has to get out.
Okay.
Now, I will say some drivers are really, really good, that they can take the claws and kind of pull them together and push it and then grab it. But sometimes they knock the other can over and it might be next to somebody's mailbox that now gets knocked over. That's what ends up happening, and that's why we say we want them 3 feet apart.
I've
because-
seen a lot of them up next to each other.
Yes.
So I was wondering,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So right now, we were, for the first 2 weeks, and now going to be 3, we asked the drivers, it's fully automated, but get out and move it, reposition it. We have tags at the printer right now we're giving everybody a couple week just to get it out to the curb and get it to position and get used to using it. We're gonna start tagging them if they're too close, if they're too far, if we can't access them.
Okay.
Just to give them a notice, please correct this, or you may experience a service
That's a good
interruption.
idea. At least they'll know.
Yes,
All right. Thanks for all your extra work that you guys are putting in.
sure, thank you.
So this was discussed with them, these issues, so we don't want to teach and develop bad habits, but there's a practical part of the first few weeks. There's going to be we didn't want to get bombarded with pickups. So he's good, but it defeats the purpose of automation if he has to get out of the
Yeah.
vehicle. So we have to get it right. So we don't want to teach people bad habits. So that's been my concern, is they need to be put out properly just because of the way the system works. The other thing on glass is we've held off. We actually talked the other day about sending notice out this week, maybe next week. But because it's new and there's so many things happening, I want to just wait a little bit on that, just because there's a lot of other information coming up. But there's going to be something put out pretty soon. I think we may have mentioned it before, but we're going to put something out that regarding glass. So yes, glass is back in for recycling.
I believe it was in the welcome letter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The glass?
But I think there's still some, we're going to put some, but we were just waiting a little bit. So this will help with our recycling tonnages and so forth too. And we do
Yeah,
expect
absolutely.
to see big increases.
Yeah,
With
and
the
what-
larger carts and a weekly collection of recycling 64 gallons. So we get, grant money based on the volumes. So if they go, and they've gone up substantially in recent years too. It's not $20,000 anymore. We've been doing very well, and we're hoping for another big jump up. All of a sudden, it's getting your attention that what the grant money is worth. So if we see a big increase in recycling tonnages, we have what is becoming a noticeable financial benefit too. So this is one of the side areas where I think we're going to benefit as a township a little bit, is on the recycling.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a few questions too?
Sure.
Just because I've been getting some inquiries. Can a senior put a plastic bag inside a can to avoid animal damage?
We've talked long about this. The problem we have with that is the driver, when the driver sees one bag, he knows that's a one-bag customer. He knows it's just not somebody using their own can. Picture a driver with 800 stops on a tablet that he's trying to perform his job safely in the neighborhoods. Now he has to figure out, is that somebody that's putting it in the wrong can or a bag customer? Probably not going to like my answer, but the answer is it has to be in a bag for now,
Okay.
just a
and-
bag.
And if a senior puts out an extra bag, what is the policy there?
So-
Do you bill them for that extra bag?
So they had to call in advance.
Okay,
They call in advance. It was in on the postcard. There's a charge per bag. They call in advance, prepay. The driver then gets sent a ticket that comes up like at the top of his customer list that says XYZ is going to have one extra bag or two extra bags, and that gets associated with that account. They have to prepay, because if they don't, they'll just keep putting it out, and the driver, there's no way of, it's just gone, right? So it's a prepaid program that was with all of the senior mailers that were sent out. We've had a couple already do that.
and if somebody has a cart that is not a waste management cart, can they call you and make arrangements to have that cart dumped? But it's the same quality.
No.
Okay. And people that have old cans that they want to get rid of, can they just put those out and you'll take them?
Yes, the two instructions, one, they can either take a spray can and put "please take," is what I advise. People can put something with a stick, duct tape and a label that might blow off in the rain. But if they put it out or put it literally inside their cart and then just fill their trash up, we'll just take it. The drivers are instructed to keep taking cans, even with the limited, if it says "please take." So people, the people that don't want to take the space up in their garage or whatever, it disappears for them.
And this is my final question. What happens if the truck picks the can up and then when it's put back down, it's damaged? Is the resident responsible to pay for that?
No, they call in, say that the can got damaged, it needs repaired or replaced. We have a ticket system that the customer service takes that, it comes right to our site here at Legger Road, and then we will have the staff to replace or repair it. I can tell you, one of the common things with the carts, when it's 5 degrees outside, they're plastic. If the driver drops it or puts it down too hard, the wheels will crack. We have an inventory of wheels. We're going to either switch the wheels or we'll just switch carts.
Thank you, and thank you for your professionalism and for your customer service this past week.
Thank you. Anything else from the board? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
All right. Plan and engineering topics, Director Fonzie.
Yes, there are two items I'd like to discuss with you. And the first, it wasn't really a new business item at the Planning Commission. It was an issue at the Kenny Ross Mazda site, literally right across the street here. I was contacted by the consultant I think it was in December, maybe around the end of November, early December, that they ran into an issue in the field and were proposing some changes to sort of kind of get out of the way of a gas line that they discovered. They did not know that this gas line was there before the project started, as far as excavating and redoing the parking lot there. So myself and Dawn Housley of KU Resources met the consultant and the construction manager on site. And on the screen, you can see, let me blow this up a little bit. In red, there's the gas line that's going down Hams Way, which is a vacated right-of-way that connects Route 30 and Center Highway here. This gas line is running in such a way that it's kind of interfering with the curb that was proposed on the western edge of the parking lot, as well as about 4 or 5 light poles that were proposed there. So they obviously didn't want to dig, excavate for the concrete curb or excavate for the light poles with the gas line directly underneath. So they came up with some alternatives that they wanted to bring in front of the Planning Commission and ultimately you guys to kind of get their blessing on, because it's large enough that it's not just a field change with, an as-built as they're going, but they wanted to make us aware because it does affect some of the appearance of the site. So the first thing would be to eliminate the curb on the western side here. And there was also a grass strip, which isn't highlighted, but you could see the small green islands here. That's the proposed landscaping that was approved originally with this plan. And what they want to do is eliminate this curb and sort of make the pavement flush with Hams Way. There will still be a swale or a gutter line between Hams Way and the new parking lot that will channel the water that's coming off of Hams Way anyway, so no new water's coming into the site. So from a stormwater perspective, it sort of evens out. But what they want to do is beef up the landscaping islands on the north and southern portions of the site. So we're not losing any pervious surface, so the landscaping percentage is still the same. They're just shifting it to kind of avoid planting or digging along this gas line. So that was the first thing that was discussed, as well as the light poles. So again, you can see, it's hard to see, there's light poles along this western edge as well. So what they want to do is move those in about 4 or 5 feet into the site. And they've also asked to shorten these parking spaces on this whole left edge. Our standard parking space is 9 by 20 feet. They're requesting to shorten it by 2, so it'd be 9 by 18. They will still maintain a 24-foot aisleway as recommended by our SALDO. We didn't think this was a big deal because this is just an inventory lot. No public is going to be entering this lot for any reason. No customers are going to be, because this is an upper lot. There's the hillsides here in the middle. The customers will be entering through the main throat from Route 30 to get to the showroom, to get to the dealership, to talk to a salesman. So this site's basically going to be offloading where the carriers come in. So we didn't see that shortening of the parking spaces as a big deal. And again, same with the lighting. Originally, they didn't want to have the lighting, and we said that's not really negotiable, so they're still providing the lighting. It's just going to be moved in maybe 4 or 5 feet from where it was originally proposed. So that's sort of what's happening on the western edge. The other thing that they brought up, they just sort of took this opportunity as an all-encompassing thing. So some of the equipment that they were going to be putting in the dealership building was larger than anticipated, so they also are proposing a small addition to the building. And on the western side of the building, you can see this blue little polygon here, and that's the size of the addition. It's not sticking out any further west into the aisleway or parking lot than originally approved. It's only 7 feet wide, and then it comes down 14 feet towards Route 30. And this is to accommodate, I think they said compressor equipment that was larger than they anticipated. So it's only 97 square feet, does not affect stormwater, does not jut out into the parking aisleway, as I said. So again, it was sort of de minimis change, but they wanted to get it on the books and get a blessing. And the final item was a flagpole, which we don't permit, or there's no requirements for it. They just want to make us aware. They'd like to install a flagpole basically on the Subaru site as you come in. The owner wants to display a flag, so if somebody sees that, they'll say, where'd that come from? We didn't talk about that, but they wanted to get everything kind of in front of us. I didn't want to bring them all the way back through with a new application. I thought these were, the gas line sort of necessitated these changes, but I wanted to memorialize it. I'd like to do this in a resolution that you guys can approve next week. That way they get a copy, they agree to it, we get a copy, and then what they do in the field will be what they agree to in the resolution. So that being said, does anybody have any questions? The consultant is available via phone. If we have any more detailed questions for him, I can call him. If not, I can try to answer for you.
I just have one question. That 97 square foot addition.
Yes.
Is that even with that original little section?
It is.
that's at-
It's hard to see. If I move that, so there's the original footprint, and I'll go to another one that shows it. That's not the one. That one. So if you follow that edge, you see how that got a little bit longer on that left side versus that? That's all we're talking about.
Okay.
So it's literally 7 by 14. It's smaller than me to you. Anybody else? Nope.
Thanks.
Okay, and by the way, the Planning Commission did approve those changes requested by the owner. Then the item of new business that we had is subdivision 25 of 2021. This is the Tomasic consolidation, and it's on Woodside Drive, and this is at the extreme western edge of our township. Denise and Thomas Tomasic live in the dark blue polygon. There, I'll blow it up, at 271 Woodside. And it's a lot that's just under half an acre. The large lot next to it is also owned by them. That's a little over 19 acres in size. That was from a previous subdivision that was approved, I believe, in the 80s or 90s. And all they merely want to do is consolidate. So their house is on the dark blue polygon. The light polygon is vacant, so they just want to append their home lot to the large lot, and then the final resulting lot will be almost 19 and a half acres. So no sewage planning needed. There's no conditions associated with this, and the Planning Commission also recommended it for approval. Any questions? Okay, that's all I have
All
tonight.
right, thanks. Any further board comments tonight?
I'd like to discuss the potential redistricting for the legislative districts in our township. I know we had all discussed about possibly doing a resolution to get that, I guess for those who don't know, the reapportionment committee is suggesting dividing North Huntington Township into two separate legislative districts, pairing them with alternate municipalities. I know I myself have presented a letter opposing that. I feel all of North Huntington should be one. I know that we were going to possibly discuss one for the entire board. I don't know if we need to vote on that or have it added to the agenda.
If we can discuss it, I believe we.
Well, we sent,
yeah,
we,
we
that,
sent
yeah,
that
that was,
memo.
that
Yeah.
authorization
Exactly.
occurred when
Yeah.
we agreed to send the letter from,
Oh, has the letter been sent?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, everybody signed off on it?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I just didn't know if we needed to discuss it in public.
Any other further board comments tonight? Not, I just need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:55.